Go right ahead, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Todd. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearings of the City of Boston. Today is March 31st, 2022. Mr. Liming, if you could do the honors of calling for a roll call.
Certainly. Would the representative from the Public Works Department please state his or her name?
Farah Jaisinha.
Property Management?
Joseph Callahan.
Transportation Department?
Amy Gordon.
Inspectional Services, I'm not sure if we have Brian on. No, not yet. Water and Sewer Commission?
Denise Devlin.
And Disabilities Commission?
Sarah Leon.
Great, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Liming. First order of business, approval of the hearing minutes. At the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of minutes of the PIC hearings held on March 17, 2021. I'd like to hear a motion to approve said minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of March 17th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. First item on our public hearing continued segment of our today's agenda. Public hearing continued item number 1. On a joint petition by the City of Boston Mayor's Office of Housing and the Boston Redevelopment Authority, doing business as Boston Planning and Development Agency, for the widening, relocation, and extension of the existing right-of-way lines of Harold Street, a public way, Roxbury, from Holworthy Street to Hollander Street. This was brought under new business on March 3rd of this year. Public hearing was on March 17th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Widening, Relocation, and Extension Plan, Harold Street, Public Way, Roxbury, 5 sheets dated March 16, 2021. Good morning.
Good morning, James Smith, Mayor's Office of Housing. We received some additional comments on this plan this week, and we're working on edits to resolve those. So I'd like to request a continuance to the next hearing.
Thank you, James. I'd like to hear a motion. Any comments by fellow commission members before I hear a motion to continue until April 14th? Is that correct, Mr. Liming?
Yes, 14th.
Any comments? Hearing none, I'd like to hear a motion to continue this.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing, continued item number 1 until April 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing continued number 2 on a joint petition by the City of Boston Mayor's Office of Housing and the Boston Redevelopment Authority, DBA, Boston Planning and Development Agency, for the discontinuance of any and all rights to travel the public may have had within a section of Holworthy Street, a public way, Roxbury, located on its southerly side, generally west of Harold Street. This was brought under new business on March 3rd. Public hearing was on March 17th, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Discontinuance Plan, Holworthy Street, Roxbury, 1 sheet dated May 18, 2021.
Thank you. Request to continue this item as well.
Thank you, James. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing, continued item number 2 until April 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing continued number 3 on a joint petition by the City of Boston Mayor's Office of Housing and the Boston Redevelopment Authority, doing business as Boston Planning and Development Agency, for the discontinuance of any and all rights to travel the public may have had within a section of Hollander Street, the public way, Roxbury, located on its northerly side, generally west of Harold Street. This was brought under new business on March 3rd of this year. Public hearing was on March 17th, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Discontinuance Plan, Hollander Street, Roxbury, 1 sheet dated May 18, 2021. James.
Again, I request to continue this item.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing, continued item number 3 until April 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to the public hearing segment of our agenda, public hearing number 1. On a joint petition by Seaport D title holder LLC, Seaport F Retail Owner LLC, the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, and the Boston Redevelopment Authority doing business as Boston Planning and Development Agency for the layout approval of a new private way open to public travel in South Boston known as PS Street from Seaport Boulevard to Northern Avenue, generally at Marine Park Drive. This was brought on a new business on March 3rd of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Layout Approval Plan, PS Street, Private Way, Open to Public Travel, South Boston, 4 sheets dated February 22. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the commission and staff. Thank you for your time here today. My name is Amy Prange, representing Seaport D title holder, Seaport Square Development Company LLC, Seaport F Retail Owner LLC, all affiliates of WS Development. I'll do a brief overview for the project that covers public hearing items 1 through 5. The Block D project is in the Seaport Square Master Plan with an address of 88 Seaport Boulevard. The project's located just west of District Hall, bounded by Fan Pier Boulevard on the west, Northern Ave to the north, Seaport Boulevard to the south, and a new pedestrian plaza, which will be constructed in between the building and District Hall in conjunction with this project. Next slide. So this building is being designed by OMA. Jacobs is the architect of record. 88 Seaport will have several smaller retail and storefronts on level 1, civic space on level 2, and the balance of the building is a mix of commercial, lab, and office on top of a 3-level garage. We're working towards a foundation permit application to ISD in the coming months, and we hope to start construction later this year. And I'll turn it over to Jody Sanchez with Goulston Stores to talk about public hearing item number 1.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. Good morning. My name is Jody Sanchez on behalf of, from Goulston Stores on behalf of the petitioners. With respect to the first public hearing item, we are respectfully requesting withdrawal of this petition without prejudice at this time, based on continuing discussions with city staff regarding the use of what we previously called Pier Street.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Ms. Todd, do we need to make a motion to allow them for the withdrawal,
or? We can for posterity's sake.
I'll make a motion to withdraw public hearing item number 1.
Second.
Caveat without prejudice. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Public hearing number 2 on a petition by Seaport D title holder LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Seaport Boulevard Public Way, South Boston, located on its northeasterly side at address number 88 southeast of Fan Pier Boulevard. New business. This was brought on a new business on March 3rd of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Pedestrian Easement Plan, Seaport Boulevard, Parcel B, Seaport District, South Boston, 1 sheet dated March 2022. Amy?
Yep. Good morning. Amy Prange with WS Development. And I'll turn it over to John Schmid with Niche Engineering to talk about this petition.
Good morning, John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. So the proposed pedestrian easement here is along Seaport Boulevard. It's actually mirroring an easement that was prepared by the BPDA back in the early stages of the redevelopment of the creation of Seaport Boulevard. This pedestrian easement will allow safe and accessible access to the public along the sidewalk of Seaport Boulevard. It's approximately 17 feet wide and 217 feet long.
Any comments or concerns by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, though I will take this opportunity to mention anybody who joins this meeting who wishes to add testimony, please use the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen. Looks like Tom Reddy from 4 Point Neighborhood Association. Go ahead, Tom.
Thanks, Todd. Just a quick question with regard to the bike facilities along Seaport Boulevard. Does the easement in any way infringe upon them? It's not clear in the drawing. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. John?
I don't believe it impacts any bike facilities on Seaport Boulevard. As we get into specific repairs, we have, you'll see we're proposing plantings and benches and things. I don't think there are any bike facilities actually impacted in this area. We did bring the TAPA plan, which indicates the bikeway. So this design does not impact the bikeway, as you can see through here.
Thank you, John. Tom? Are you okay?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you, Parag.
Tom, again, truly appreciate your participation. Any further comments by members of today's audience? Hearing none, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 2.
Make a motion to approve a petition by Seaport D Title Holder LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Seaport Boulevard as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 3 on a joint petition by Seaport B Title Holder LLC, Seaport F Retail Owner LLC, Seaport Square Development Company LLC, the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, and the Boston Redevelopment Authority, doing business as Boston Planning and Development Agency, for the making of specific repairs within the following roadways in South Boston, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lighting infrastructure, storm drain infrastructure, street trees, planters, landscaping, irrigation infrastructure, street furniture, waste receptacles, bike racks, and groundwater recharge infrastructure. Seaport Boulevard on its northeasterly side at address number 88 southeast of Pier Boulevard, Northern Avenue on its southwesterly side southeast of Pier Boulevard, Pier Boulevard, a private way on its southwesterly side between Seaport Boulevard and Northern Avenue. All of this was brought under new business on March 3rd of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, Northern Avenue, Seaport Boulevard, Pier Boulevard, 88 Seaport Boulevard, South Boston, 9 sheets dated February 2022. John?
Good morning, Commissioners. John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. The first specific repair is the installation of 5 recharge wells along Northern Ave. The project is required to provide capture and recharge 1¼ inches of rainfall from the site area, which is approximately 6,400 cubic feet of stormwater, which will be held within the building and pumped into these 5 wells that are located within Northern Ave. The wells are approximately 35 feet deep, and this has been reviewed, and although we don't have site plan approval from Boston Water and Sewer, it's been reviewed, and they are familiar with the project, this proposal, and they have not objected to it. That's all.
John, is that the extent of the Seaport, specific repairs for Seaport, Northern and Pier?
Oh, I'm sorry, but other pages. Any questions regarding the recharge wells? I'll move ahead. On Northern Ave, the specific repairs to the Northern Ave site plan, Northern Ave sidewalk improvements, involves a 12.5-foot wide concrete sidewalk, a 5-foot pervious paver street frontage, new LED street lighting, 5 street light poles, don't dump plaques at the catch basins. We're replacing the tactile strip across the street to meet today's requirements. And we are proposing a commercial curb cut driveway opening here to the pedestrian plaza. I'll move on to the next one unless there's any questions. On Seaport Boulevard, we are proposing a 10-foot wide concrete sidewalk, a 10-foot wide frontage zone with raised planters and park benches, 6 street trees, and 4 LED streetlights. And there's also a 10-foot swath of pavers in front of the building except a poured concrete access to the main entrance. And I'll move on to Danbury Boulevard. Danbury Boulevard is a private way that was laid out in 2014 as part of the parcel A and B development. The proposal here is to construct a sidewalk on the project side. The sidewalk will be varies in width between 7.5 and 8.5 feet wide. It also has 3 raised planters that are about 6.5 feet wide. And this Van Pier Boulevard, it is a private way and is over a garage. Any questions regarding the specific repairs?
Thank you, John. Any questions from Mr. Schmidt by fellow commission members? Hearing none, comments by PIC staff? And Mr. Reddy has a question, so.
Oh, Mr. Reddy, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. Just a question with regard to retail use on the ground floor. It was mentioned that there will be some. Is there an anticipation that those retail spaces will have any kind of outside need or use? Example, restaurant outside seating, and is there plan, and would that infringe on sidewalk widths along the building?
Yes, we do anticipate having some restaurants on the ground floor, and any cafe licenses that would be permitted at a later date by the restaurant. But we have tried to lay out the sidewalk and the specific repairs around the building to allow for that without encroaching on the accessible path of travel.
So currently there's I'm not aware of any outside seating along Seaport Boulevard. Would it be anticipated that it would be there or more along Fan Pier or Northern Ave? Do you have a sense?
There's actually a really wide area in front of Seaport Boulevard that's not concrete sidewalk. That's a potential location for outdoor seating. The pedestrian plaza to the east of the building between the new building and District Hall will also likely be utilized for outdoor seating. Northern Ave might be too narrow to fit any kind of seating there, but maybe a restaurant might be able to permit like a 2-top seating arrangement there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Point of clarification, Mr. Liming, the maintenance agreement, is this a standalone or incorporated into the master agreement with WS?
This will be included in the master maintenance agreement. And I know that Coastal Stores has been working with Chung on that.
Thank you, Todd. I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 3.
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by Seaport D Title Holder LLC, Seaport F Retail Owner LLC, Seaport Square Development Company LLC, the MBTA, and the BRA, DBA, BPDA, making specific repairs in Seaport Boulevard, Northern Ave, and Fan Pier Boulevard.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 4 on a joint petition by Seaport B Title Holder LLC and Seaport F Retail Owner LLC for the granting of projection licenses for the installation of canopies, blade signs, and light fixtures over portions of the sidewalks within the following roadways in South Boston. Seaport Boulevard on its northeasterly side at address number 88, southeast of Van Pier Boulevard. Northern Avenue on its southwesterly side, southeast of Van Pier Boulevard. Van Pier Boulevard, the private way, on its southwesterly side between Seaport Boulevard and Northern Avenue. Pierce Street, the private way, on its northwesterly side between Seaport Boulevard and Northern Avenue. This was brought under new business on March 3rd of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, License Plan, Northern Avenue, Van Pier Boulevard, Seaport Boulevard, 88 Seaport Boulevard, South Boston, 3 sheets dated February 7th of 2022.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. Along Northern Ave, we have 2 canopies. Here and here, they're located 10 feet above grade. They project about 3 feet into the public way, which is significantly less than 2/3 sidewalk width. They're heat traced and internally drained. We also have 7 banners that are proposed along Northern Ave here. The banners are approximately 16 feet tall and start at grade and then transition out as they raise in elevation. And the projection into the public way is just a matter of several inches. about 8 to 9 inches they project into the public way in the worst case scenario. On Van Pier Boulevard, the private way, we have 2 canopies that project about 2 canopies, one here and one here, to project about 4 feet into the private way sidewalk. They're 10 feet above grade. The projection is less than 2/3 of the sidewalk width, and these are also heat traced and internally drained. And we also have a banner down at this, we have a banner here up near Northern Ave, which is similar to the banners along Northern Ave, about approximately 16 feet tall, and project into the private way about 10 inches. On Fan Pier Boulevard, we have 4 canopies, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 11 feet above the sidewalk. They project about 4 feet into the very wide sidewalk. They are heat traced and internally drained. And we also have, actually we don't have any banners on this street. It's just all the 4 canopies. And Pier Street has been removed under a previous action, so there are no canopy licenses proposed and what was once considered Pier Street, but is now a pedestrian plaza. Any questions?
Thank you, John. Questions for Mr. Schmidt by fellow commission members? Hearing none, point of clarification, John. The lighting that is attached to the canopies, are they for accent lighting or amplification lighting? If you don't know, it's okay.
Amy, can you?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
sure. The lighting will be shining up towards the massing of the building to highlight the features, the architectural features.
Architectural features and not to the pedestrians, okay. Thank you, Amy. Any comments by PIC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, just to echo what John said about the listing of Pier Street in this action. Pier Street's not going to be a street anymore, so the projections over that pedestrian plaza are no longer part of the commission's consideration.
Thank you. Todd, just a point of clarification, I should have caught this earlier. The items that are on the private ways, are they under the purview of the commission?
So that's a little bit of a gray area. We asked the project to include them so that we have a record of those projections, but typically we do not charge license fees or projections over a private way.
The dimensional requirements hold, but we don't care beyond that.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Todd. At this point, there are no further questions. I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 4.
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by Seaport D Title Holder LLC and Seaport F Retail Owner LLC for the granting of projection license in Seaport Boulevard, Northern Ave, Fan Pier Boulevard, and the Pedestrian Plaza, as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 5 on a joint petition by Seaport D Title Holder LLC, Seaport F Retail Owner LLC, Seaport Square Development Company LLC, and the Boston Redevelopment Authority doing business as BPDA for the granting of an earth retention license for the installation of a temporary earth support system within the following public ways in South Boston: Seaport Boulevard at address number 88 southeast of Fan Pier Boulevard, Northern Avenue, southeast of Fan Pier Boulevard. This was brought under new business on March 3rd of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Temporary Earth Retention Plan, Northern Avenue, 88 Seaport Boulevard, Boston, one sheet dated March 3rd, 2022.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. So this project requires the installation of temporary earth support along Northern Ave and Seaport Boulevard. Along Northern Ave, there will be a slurry wall with temporary tiebacks. The basement here is approximately 6 feet deep, so the slurry wall goes about 20 feet beyond that. And there are temporary tiebacks that will be detensioned as the project construction allows. And then on Seaport Boulevard, where we're up against the MBTA tunnel, it's your conventional slurry wall as well. The slurry wall will be cut down to be 6 feet below the sidewalk grade, as is standard policy when the project allows. Any questions?
John, MBTA, you had something from MBTA saying they're okay with it, i.e. they've looked at the plans or they are in receipt of the plans or something to that effect?
We've done the notifications through the typical engineer's report process and mailed letters stating that they have no objections to these proposals.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for John at this point by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any questions or comments by PIC staff and/or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Thank you, Todd. Like to get a motion regarding public hearing number 5?
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by Seaport D Title Holder LLC, Seaport F Retail Owner LLC, Seaport Square Development Company LLC, and the Boston Redevelopment Authority doing business as the Boston Planning and Development Agency for a granting of an earth retention license in Seaport Boulevard and Northern Avenue as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none. Motion passes. Thank you, Amy. Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Very much.
Bye.
Public hearing number 6 on a petition by GUGB 2212 Stewart Property Owning LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Church Street, a public way, Boston proper, located on its southwesterly side at 212 Stewart Street between Charlotte Street and Stewart Street. This is brought on a new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement Plan, Church Street, Boston proper, one sheet dated January 31st of this year. Good morning.
Good morning, John Schmidt here with Niche Engineering. It doesn't sound as though my client is on the call just yet. We were here for new business a couple of weeks ago, and the intent here is to provide a pedestrian easement along Church Street that's approximately 53 feet long and 3.8 feet wide. And this easement is at the request of the BPDA through the BPDA permitting exercise. This has been reviewed and blessed by the city agencies and the utilities as well.
Thank you, John. Any comments from Mr. Schmidt by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
I will just mention that I believe Brian Ronan of ISD has joined the hearing.
Thank you, Don.
No comments beyond that.
Thank you, Don. Acknowledging Brian's participation. All right, so I'd like to get a motion regarding public hearing number 6.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by GUGB 212 Stewart Property Owner LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement on Church Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 7 on a joint petition by the New Boston Ventures LLC doing business as 143 Washington LLC, Avalon Bay Communities Inc. doing business as Brighton Avalon LLC, and the Boston Housing Authority for the layout approval of a new private way open to public travel in Brighton known as Nevins Hill Way from Fidelis Way located south of Chetty Court to a point northeasterly. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Layout Approval Plan, Nevins Hill Way, 25 Fidelis Way, Private Way, open to public travel, Brighton, 3 sheets dated March 2022. Good morning.
Hi, this is Tim McGovern from New Boston Ventures. We were on the new business a few weeks ago and presenting about the creation of a private way. Also with the team today is Harry Collings, Jay Walsh, John Schmidt from Niche Engineering, and Dean Papadimitriou from the Boston Housing Authority. To give a quick overview of the site plan for context, just to help understand why we're asking for a new private way, you can see on the screen here. So this project was permitted as 139 to 149 Washington Street and consisted of 2 separate buildings. The front building is being developed by Avalon Bay, and that faces Washington Street with its garage accessible off of Fidelis Way, which is a private way owned by the Boston Housing Authority. And the rear building is accessible by traveling up Fidelis Way and going left through a BHA parking area in order to get to the driveway for our building. If you go to the next slide, please, John. This is just a color-coded plan that shows the vehicular access route. In orange is Fidelis Way, which is a private way, and in yellow is the BHA property that we have an easement to cross through to get to our purple drive area. Next slide, please. And on this slide, you can just see in red is the easement that we have with the Boston Housing Authority, and that's the boundaries of the easement shown. And so the root of the issue is ISD gave us an address for our building of 25 Fidelis Way, since our vehicular access route comes off of Fidelis. But by using a Fidelis Way address, it's very likely that our guests and deliveries, maintenance trucks could easily miss the entrance to Fidelis Way because it looks like a parking lot and end up driving around Fidelis Way through their property beyond the boundary of our agreed upon easement. We've already seen this as being an issue that causes disruption and confusion to BHA with our construction vehicles currently working on site. And we believe that the cars would be in violation of the easement if they drive past the entrance of our building. So to prevent that, we're seeking a unique identifying address with a private way street sign called Nevins Hill Way, so that we're not associated at all with the BHA address on Fidelis. And this issue was really stemmed when we did the subdivision of the property and the subsequent issuance of the address by ISD. So I'll turn it over to John to just go through the detailed plan.
Thank you, Tim.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. So as Tim had indicated, vehicles will come up Fidelis Way and then turn left into Nevins Hill Way. We have a street sign. We will provide a street sign, Nevins Hill Way, private way. The sign will say here, so as someone accesses the site, they can clearly see Nevins Hill Way. We have a tabletop crossing here, across the crosswalk here, a raised crossing here. Vehicles will drive through here. When in this area of the roadway, we have 23 feet of traveled way. We have 18-foot perpendicular parking spaces, which were pre-existing and part of the BHA development. Then we have 7-foot wide parallel parking here and 6.5-foot sidewalks. As we turn the bend here, we have, since new business, we have made this a raised crossing as well. So pedestrians can either walk in this way and cross and go that way, or walk this way and cross and go that way. At this crossing, we have 23.5-foot wide path of travel, and then we have a couple 7-foot parking spaces over here. As we travel up the hill towards the site, to the building itself, we have a 6-foot sidewalk on the left side, 7-foot parking, 21 feet of travel, 7-foot wide parking space, and a 5-foot wide concrete sidewalk. Both sidewalks will not be impeded with any vertical projections. Any street lighting, street trees, anything of that manner is set behind the sidewalk. It will not impede the path of travel. As we get to the top of the site here, we have a raised crossing as we enter the cul-de-sac area. This sidewalk is a ADA compliant paver placed on a concrete base. So we have poured concrete here. We have the ADA compliant paver as we cross here to the landing here, which is concrete. And then through this area, we have a paver, ADA compliant paver on a concrete base that brings people to the main entrance. These pavers contrast in color, so the path of travel is very clear to the user. Soon after our new business hearing of 2 weeks ago, I met with Sarah and we reviewed the drawings, and we have shared these revisions with her and with Todd, and I believe that they are satisfied with these revisions.
Thank you, John. Questions for Mr. Schmidt by fellow commission members? Hearing none. John, the street lighting system, is it tied to the city system, and is the City of Boston Public Works managing the lighting system, or can you amplify your thoughts on it?
The street lighting will be powered privately and managed by the ownership, as is standard policy with private ways in the city.
Thank you. Points of clarification. Second, the maintenance of the street, including snow removal, will be the responsibility of the abutters of the.
Correct. Anything to do with maintenance, plowing, site lighting is the responsibility of the developer.
Thank you. Third point, the nature of the roadway design will preclude this from ever being entertained as a public street or to be petitioned to be converted to a public street. Is that also understood by the petitioners?
Tim, do you understand?
Yes, understood.
Thank you, team. At this point, any further comments by or questions by PIC staff and all members of today's audience? Hearing none. Sorry.
None, sorry about that.
Thank you, Tom. Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 7.
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by New Boston Ventures LLC, DBA 143 Washington LLC, Avalon Bay Communities Inc., DBA Brighton Avalon LLC, and the Boston Housing Authority for the layout approval of Nevins Hill Way as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 8.
Thank you, Commissioners. Have a great day.
Sorry, team. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful day. Public hearing number 8 on a petition by 3353 Washington Development LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to the following public ways in West Roxbury. Washington Street on its northwesterly side at address number 3353 southwest of Green Street. Green Street on its southwesterly side northwest of Washington Street. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on the plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Pedestrian Easement Plan, Washington Street and Green Street, 3353, Washington Street, Jamaica Plain, one sheet dated January 18, 2022. Good morning.
Good morning. James Downing from Howard St. Hudson. I'm joined this morning by Maddie Blanchard, also from Howard St. Hudson, and Patrick Mahoney from 3353 Washington Street LLC, who's the applicant. We're here to present the pedestrian easement plan for the project. Next slide, please, Maddie. Project's located at the intersection of Green Street and Washington Street in Jamaica Plain. For context, we have a couple of slides here showing 2 views on Washington Street of what the building is going to look like. We also have another view from Green Street as well. The development consists of 45 residential units, 2,000 square feet of ground floor commercial with 24 off-street parking spaces. During the PPA process, and including the PPA board approval letter, was a request to widen the sidewalks on Washington Street and Green Street. The applicant is willing to do that by resetting ground floor space such that now Green Street will have an 8-foot wide sidewalk, and on Washington Street will have 9.5-foot sidewalks. The resulting pedestrian easement plan is presented in front of us right now. Extends approximately 40 feet along Washington Street from the intersection and approximately 125 feet down Green Street with variable width for a total square footage of 476 square feet. With that, we're happy to answer any questions that commission members may have.
Thank you, James. Any questions for Mr. Downing by fellow commission members?
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. I believe we did receive the additional information that the Disabilities Commission had requested in the previous meeting, but unfortunately I was not able to review it in time for this hearing. So I think given that this is a pedestrian easement petition and not a specific repair petition, we'd like to work with you offline regarding the situation and positioning of the reconstruction of the ramps at the intersection of Washington and Green Street, and I'm happy to connect after the hearing to set something up.
Ms. Long, I could speak to that. I'd be happy to talk to you. However, we're unable to do any work outside of what's committed in this plan. It's just, unfortunately, we've submitted a budget just a couple of days ago, and it far exceeds that of what we've allowed for. It's nearly $500,000 of added work in the public way that we don't have room in our project for. This project is unique to us in the sense that we bought it with approvals in place, and there was other heavy mitigation on the affordable housing side that we've already completed. And we're doing that, and permit has been issued, work has begun, we've submitted a sidewalk deposit. The red areas are what we initially accounted for, and since then we've included in our scope replacing the sidewalks and resetting some of the curbs, where we really don't have the room for anything else. I just want to let that be clear. If it was something that I took on from permitting in the beginning, it'd be a different conversation that would have happened early on, but we just don't have the room in our funding that's already been closed and work has begun. So I can't find the additional funds for the public improvements that you're seeking.
So given that the improvements that I'm seeking are required by code, we're happy to have that conversation offline, but I do still want to have that conversation given that these are code issues with the sidewalk. But I'm happy, again, to have that conversation outside of this hearing.
Sarah, if I may join, and Patrick, I understand, okay, wrong choice of words. I acknowledge the predicament you might be in, but I'm a little bit concerned about Ms. Leon's comments, as it are code requirements, not something else. So, Sarah, is it more prudent for us to continue this public hearing for 2 weeks until you all are able to reach common ground versus you being in a position, Sarah, where the commission may have voted on this unless we create a conditional vote? So the commission can support you in either way.
I think we should wait because it seems like these would add specific repairs, right? So like, I think that it would be the subject of the stuff that we're voting on if changes are made.
I'd rather just, I'm not prepared to do any specific repairs. I'd rather withdraw altogether and proceed and just not give the easement if that's the way this is going. I agreed to do the sidewalk and reset the curb. I'm happy to do that. That's additional work beyond what was required in BPDA approval. I'm happy to do it. Anything more than that is required, we don't have the room for. I'd rather withdraw and just keep the easement ourselves and keep the public way the way it is. That's not what we want to do. That's not what we're here to do. But if that's the direction that this is going, then unfortunately that's what we have to do. There's no room for it.
With due respect to the commission, seeing as the project is granting to the city rights with this particular action, and there are no other actions associated with it at this time, it may be more prudent to move forward with this pedestrian easement action, and then the additional conversations that need to happen with the Disabilities Commission and BTD and others offline, the results of those conversations can be tied to the project's sidewalk deposit, which has already been put down and will eventually need to be inspected and returned. That's the PIC staff's recommendation at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Laming. That being said, are all parties in agreement with Mr. Laming's suggestion? And if so, do I hear a motion to support? Sorry, where are my manners? Any further comments by PIC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, none.
Hearing none, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 8.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by 3353 Washington Development LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement in Washington and Green Street as read into the record by the chair.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Sorry, just condition upon.
Yeah, contingent upon successful outcome with the Commission for Persons with Disabilities.
A second subject to those terms.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Motion passes as amended. Thank you. Moving on to public hearing number 9.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick. On a petition by National Grid for the making of specific repairs within Brockton Street, public way, Roxbury, located on its southwesterly side, southeast of Huntington Avenue, consisting of curb, sidewalk, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction. This was brought under new visitors on March 17th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division specific repairs plans Rundle Street at Huntington Avenue, gas regulator station, Boston. 2 sheets dated March 15th of this year. Good morning.
Good morning, Commission members. Peter Nagel from National Grid. National Grid would respectfully request a continuance on this to the next hearing to close up a couple of loopholes that came up on the new business hearing.
Thank you, Peter. Any comments or concerns by Mr. Nagel's request? I'm not hearing anything. Let me hear a motion to support Mr. Nagel's request.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing item number 9 as read into the record by the chair until April 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 10 on a petition by National Grid for a grant of location to install gas regulator station and associated infrastructure within Rundle Street Public Way, Roxbury, located southeast of Huntington Avenue. New business. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, grant of location plans, Rundle Street and Huntington Avenue, gas regulator station, Boston, 2 sheets dated March 15th of 2022.
Morning, Commission members. Peter Nagel from National Grid. National Grid would like to request a continuance on this matter until the Commission's next hearing.
Can I hear a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing item number 10 as read into the record by the chair until April 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 11 on a petition by National Grid for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in South Boston, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps and street lighting infrastructure. West 2nd Street, generally at West 3rd Street. West 3rd Street, generally at West 2nd Street. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on the set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repair Plans, West 2nd at West 3rd, Boston, 3 sheets, dated March 15th of this year. Peter?
Commission members, Peter Nagel from National Grid. National Grid would like to request a continuance on this matter until the Commission's next hearing, so we may update our presentation drawings.
Do I have a motion to support?
Make a motion to continue. I'll make a motion to continue public hearing item number 11 as read into the record by the chair until April 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 12 on a petition by National Grid for a grant of location to install a gas regulator station and associated infrastructure within the following public ways in South Boston. West 2nd Street, generally at West 3rd Street. West 3rd Street, generally at West 2nd Street. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, grant of location plans, West 2nd and West 3rd Boston, 3 sheets dated March 15th of this year.
Peter Nagel, National Grid. Again, National Grid would like to seek a continuance on this matter till the Commission's next hearing.
Like to get a motion to support Peter's request.
Make a motion to continue public hearing item number 12 as read into the record by the chair until April 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. We'll see you in 2 weeks, Peter.
Thank you, Commission members. Have a nice day.
You do now. Public hearing number 13 on a petition by Externet Systems Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with city shadow within the following public ways in Dorchester. Blue Hill Avenue between Harvard Street and Fabian Street. Fabian Street, northwest of Blue Hill Ave. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Ground Up Location Plan, Google Pedestrian Street, Rochester. 13 sheets dated March 2022. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Keenan Brin. I'm with Extenet Systems, representing the petitioner on behalf of the 6 fiber petitions that we presented 2 weeks ago. I'm also joined again by Dan Ryan, and I believe Arthur Pino from Extenet Systems. We can take these one at a time like we did 2 weeks ago. The first one here is a fiber run along Blue Hill Avenue. It actually starts at Fabian Street and proceeds it starts at Harvard Street and proceeds from about 2,269 feet, eventually terminating at Fabian Street. This whole run is manhole to manhole. And in an agreement with the City of Boston, we will provide shadow ducts along the way and dedicated manhole or handhole along the way for the city's use, separate from Extenet's. Again, this is a pretty straightforward run with about 2,200 feet and a couple of jogs just along the way. So if you have any questions, we can take those down.
Thank you, Keenan. Any questions for Mr. Brin by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Mr. Brin, as requested by me or suggested by me at the new business hearings, were you able to give us a sense of your overall plans for the expansion? Did you get a chance to provide that information from Mr. Liming, or will you be providing that at a future point in time?
I will mention that Extenet and their consultants met with PIC staff and BTD recently to discuss some of their what they're doing on a larger scale. And BTD's, and Amy can speak to this more eloquently than I can, but BTD will work with them to identify what areas might need additional city shadow for BTD interconnect and that type of thing.
Yeah, no, they're working with us, right? Like they've provided us everything we need, and I think that they've been great. And we took a look at all of these longer runs and know where, what we're going to do with city shadow versus, city shadow populated by BTD. And Arthur's, hot in the mix with us right now about how to pull this off logistically and all that stuff. So we've been pretty active with them since the last year.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Mr. Brin, for those supplemental conversations. At this point, I'd like to hear a motion to support petition.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Extenet Systems for a grant of location in Blue Hill Ave and Fabian Street is read in the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 14 on a petition by Extenet Systems Inc. for a ground up location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within the following public ways in Dorchester: Cummings Highway, generally between Fairview Street and Woodhaven Street; Fairview Street, northeast of Cummings Highway; Brockton Street, northeast of Cummings Highway; Woodhaven Street, northeast of Cummings Highway. This is brought under new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Ground Up Location Plan, Fairview Street, Cummings Highway, Brockton Street, Woodhaven Street, Dorchester. 4 sheets dated March of 2022. Mr. Brin?
Yes, Keenan Brin again, Extenet Systems with Dan Ryan. Again, we presented this 2 weeks ago. It's a run that begins on Favre Street and then heads east on Cummins Highway. It's relatively short, 833 feet. Continues on Cummins Highway. There's a jog onto Brockton Street along the way, and then a second one onto Woodhaven. And then the fiber run actually terminates on Cummins just beyond Woodhaven. Again, this has been addressed, I believe, with the city as far as the shadow ducts, and that will be provided, and the city will get the benefit of that as well.
Thank you, Keenan. Point of clarification in response to comments made at the new business hearing. Todd, do you know whether the petitioner got a chance to square things with the Cummings Highway reconstruction project to ensure that the widened sidewalks are not going to be in conflict with the location which Mr. Breen is requesting us to grant?
I actually was not privy to any conversations between Exnet and Public Works, but I'm happy to put them in touch offline after the hearing.
I think they're near the sidewalk, Carl.
Sorry, Amy?
I don't think they're near the sidewalk.
Awesome. Yeah, Keenan, I hate for the commission to grant you a location and you install this stuff, and then a few months later for you to move that stuff. That will be a wastage of so many resources. So please do take a moment to connect with the public works staff to ensure that your assets are in an acceptable location. And if it should change, Todd, just bring it back to the commission so we can amend the plans. Okay?
Certainly.
Awesome. At this point, any further comments by fellow commission members to Mr. Breen? Hearing none, any comments by PSC staff or members of today's audience?
No, though I will remind the public, if you wish to add testimony, please use the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen.
Thank you, Todd. Like we need a motion regarding public hearing number 14.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Exnet Systems for a grant of location in Cummins Highway, Park Street, Brockton Street, Woodhaven Street, as read into the record by the chair, contingent upon final coordination with the Public Works Cummins Highway project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 15 on a petition by External Systems Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within the following public ways: Hyde Park Ave, generally between Everett Street and Factory Street, Everett Street, northeast of Hyde Park Avenue. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan, Everett Street, Hyde Park Ave, Hyde Park, 12 sheets dated March 12, 2022. Mr. Keenan?
Yes, Keenan Brent here again on behalf of External Systems with Dan Ryan. This fiber run starts on Everett Street, heads west, and proceeds down Hyde Park Ave for the majority of the run. It's just over 2,000 feet. There are a couple of jogs along the way, one on Hyde Park Ave, and then there's a second spur onto Dana Street. Other than that, it's a straight run of about 2,000 feet. There are a couple of MWRA crossings which we've licensed properly, so that should not be an issue. The fiber actually terminates just beyond Factory Street on Hyde Park Ave, and we again have, I believe, secured an agreement with the city to provide shadow duct here and allow them to benefit from the installation of this. And I'll take any questions then.
Thank you, Mr. Breen. Questions from Mr. Breen by fellow commission members?
No, I'll note that this is one of the digs that BTD is interested in, and we're working with Arthur now on locations of handholds as it relates to signal cabinets and all that stuff. So it's more of a thank you than anything else. But yeah, no, this is a run that we're excited to participate in.
Thank you, Amy. Any further comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, none.
I could get a motion regarding public hearing number 15.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Exnet Systems for a grant of location within Hyde Park Ave and Everett Street as read into the record by the chair, contingent upon final coordination with BTD on structure location.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 16 on a petition by External Systems Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with city shadow within the following public ways in West Roxbury: American Legion Highway, northeast of Cummings Highway, and Canterbury Street. Canterbury Street, southwest of American Legion Highway at Cummings Highway. Cummings Highway, generally American Legion Highway at Coventry Street. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on the set of plans entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, American Legion Highway, Cummings Highway, Coventry Street, West Roxbury, 4 sheets dated March 2022. Mr. Brain.
Yes, Keenan Burnick again on behalf of Exonet Systems, presenting a petition for a fiber run that begins on American Legion Highway. It crosses the intersection through Cummins Highway, and then the majority of the run proceeds down Canterbury Street. I think this is the shortest run of these petitions. I think it's approximately 523 feet long. There is an MWRA crossing which has been addressed, and my understanding is that we will be providing a shadow duct here as well for this run for the city. I think this one's fairly straightforward. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Thank you, Mr. Brain. Keenan, as I pointed out at the new business hearings, to the best of my knowledge, your intrusion to this intersection will be that first cut, right? I'm certain you or your staff have seen what this roadway looks like. We've done our best to hold on to its luster, and now it's going to experience its first cut. So as much as we are concerned about the degradation of our assets with utility cuts, we feel a little bit, awkward situation. So would truly appreciate, and I mean truly appreciate, absolute care taken by your contractors to exercise as much prudence as possible to ensure to minimize the visual look of the cut through this intersection, because it is a nodal intersection within our communities. Like many streets go through here, and when I say many streets, major arterials that carry lots of traffic. So as much as we can avoid you cutting it, please do exercise as much caution as possible to mitigate the look of the cut when cut, after it is cut, and after it is restored. If I'm making any sense to you, Mr. Brain.
Yes, I know you voiced your concerns last time, and we understand your cause for concern. We can certainly deal with some of these issues on maybe on a pre-construction basis. I get the biggest concern might be the restoration of what's being cut in the road itself.
Yes.
Okay. Again, I would certainly hope that we can address those and make everyone satisfactory.
Thank you, Keenan. As much as us being satisfied, I would very much like you all to take pride in the work that you all are doing, as you do, to ensure that this partnership is an amicable partnership where your assets are installed, but through that process, the city's assets are not diminished in its usage and its look.
And I'll certainly relay that message to Extonet for this particular petition and the other ones as well.
Thank you, Mr. Frick. Truly appreciate that.
Well,
any comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none. Any comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience? And I believe there's a person who would like to comment. Mr.
Yes, Kirkpatrick, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a reminder, at this intersection, there is a very large fire station, and they have a very large geographical area to respond to, and any disruption to that intersection will block the firehouse and their ability to enter and exit. Therefore, it will have a specific need to coordinate directly with Boston Fire in the event they have to change any of their response routes or relocate some of their apparatus. I live in this area. This is a very busy station. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Mr. Flynn, obviously, Mr. Kirkpatrick's points are spot on. So when you do the construction, please do that little bit extra by coordinating your operations with the needs of the fire department and be as responsive as to their needs.
Yep. Yeah, again, I'll relay the message, and I'll talk to our engineer about the traffic maintenance plan and see what needs to get captured on that.
Thank you, Mr. Brain. Appreciate that. Any further comments by members of today's audience?
I see none.
Hearing none, I will hear a motion regarding public hearing number 16.
I make a motion to approve a petition by Extenet Systems for a grant of location with lead company status in the vicinity of American Legion Highway, Canterbury Street, and Cummins Highway, subject to coordination with the Boston Fire Department and also satisfactory restoration of the road surface.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 17 on a petition by Extenet Systems Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within South Street, a public way, West Roxbury, generally from Child Street at a point south of our way. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan South Street and New Washington, West Roxbury, 13 sheets dated March 2022.
Okay, Keenan Brennigan with Extenet Systems, along with Dan Ryan. This is another fiber petition for a fiber duct that starts on South Street. It crosses the Arbor Way. It continues on South Street. There are a couple of jogs along the way, but one about halfway down, and then there's a second one closer to Jamaica Street. And then the actual fiber run terminates on South Street just beyond Jamaica Street. Again, these, I believe we've worked out something with the city to provide a shadow duct here that will allow the city to take advantage of this fiber dig. Other than that, we'll certainly, I know you raised some concerns last time about making sure that the sidewalks are properly restored and put back in some sort of semblance quickly after the construction. And we can certainly take, whatever steps are needed for, quick and proper restoration. If you have any questions, we'll take those now.
Thank you, Mr. Brin. Point of clarification for me. The overseeing of the contractor, will that be the responsibility of your team as the designers of the project, or will Extenet be or will Extenet be shepherding the oversight of the contractor to someone else? I'm just trying to figure out the continuity of these requirements which we are conveying to you and how that stuff gets translated to the parent company, Extenet, and then to a contractor who sometimes don't know what needs to be done.
Yeah. Well, I think ultimately Extenet is responsible, for the contractor. So I think it's behooves Extenet and everyone involved to make sure that the construction process is understood and everything is followed in terms of restoration and safety and traffic maintenance.
Thank you, Mr. Brin. We truly appreciate you conveying the concerns that the commission members have towards the management of such long runs being first cuts throughout our city. Okay? Thank you.
Power Arthur Pino from Extenet. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Power, just to hopefully ease some of your concerns, I have construction managers in market, and those construction managers will be in the field with the contractors, making sure that certainly our work is up to the standards of the city of Boston, as we always have and will do. And I certainly appreciate the relationship and the partnership that we are putting together here. So thank you very much to all.
Arthur, it is good to see you, and I'm absolutely confident and confident that you will do what needs to be done to maintain this relationship which you have fostered over the years. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Brin regarding this petition by fellow commission members?
No, I'll just say that this is one of the ones that BTD is involved. We're working with Arthur on same thing, handle locations and stuff like this, but we are excited about participating in this dig.
Thank you, Amy. Any further comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, just as was noted at the last hearing, in addition to sidewalk surfaces, All bike lane markings and other pavement markings are to be restored immediately after construction.
Thank you, Todd. Hearing no further comments, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 17.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Extenet Systems for a grant of location in South Street as read into the record by the chair, contingent upon final structure placement with coordination with BTD.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 18 on a petition by Extenet Systems Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with city shadow within the following public ways in West Roxbury: Washington Street, generally between Granfield Road and Metropolitan Ave, Poplar Street, southeast of Washington Street, Murray Hill Road, southeast of Washington Street. This was brought on a new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Washington Street, Murray Hill Road, and Poplar Street, Boston, 21 sheets dated March 2022. Good morning, Mr. Key. I'm sorry, Mr. Brady.
Yes, Keenan Bernigan, Extenet Systems, along with Dan Ryan, who's providing the engineering services. This petition was actually submitted as two separate petitions, so it's fairly long, but I think it breaks down to 4,200 linear feet. But it was submitted originally with 2,500 and 1,600, and then they asked us to combine them. So just be aware of that. There's a manhole approximately at Kittredge Street that from there one of the fiber ducts runs south. There's a couple of jogs along the way, and then it continues there for 1,639 feet just after Darnell Street. So that's one side of it. And then from that same manhole heading north, it starts at that same manhole approximately 2,567 feet. Runs down Polar for a stretch and continues along Washington Street. There's a second spur on Murray Hill, and then it continues to the end. Again, a long run, but I think fairly straightforward except for those two jogs. And my understanding is that we have an agreement with the city to provide a shadow duct and a manhole or a handhole along the way as needed. Again, be happy to entertain any issues in terms of, certainly like we've talked about for the other ones, we'll try to, do a quick restoration, a proper restoration, and make sure that we're dealing with any crosswalks and bike lanes immediately. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Brain. Any questions from Mr. Brain by fellow commission members? Hearing none. Comments by PSC staff and all members of today's audience, and I believe Mr. Kirkpatrick has his hand raised. Bob?
Go ahead, Mr. Kirkpatrick.
Thank you very much. I'm going to place my contact information in the chat room for Mr. Brin. I represent the Roslindale Business Group. We're a membership-based organization with interest in promoting business throughout the 02131 area. I'm specifically interested in agenda item 16 and 18. There have been a number of changes to the core business district in Roslindale in recent years associated with traffic mitigation and the movement of bus stops. Unfortunately, none of the individual businesses had been consulted or included. This was basically proceeded upon via other means, shall we say. And we're reaching a point where we're considering serious issues with sustainability of a number of businesses in that core area. And of course, this construction will go right through that area and have an impact on at least 9 bus lines going through there, not to mention access to business. So I'm going to place my information up in the chat room, basically requesting notification on construction dates, estimated time start, time end, because I need to give the business owners a heads up on this I've got some upcoming meetings with them. Traffic and parking has been a long-term problem with us, and after the pandemic, it's reached a serious issue with us, and we've got about maybe 20 vacancies in the business district right now, and a lot of people are struggling. So anything that disrupts our ability to conduct business is going to be of concern. We understand this needs to be done, but the more advance notice we have, the more we can try to adapt. Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you. And I know you voiced your concerns a couple of weeks ago, and I did capture your contact information and shared that with Extenet. So I'll make sure I follow up again today with that same information, and we'll try to address any concerns and see that you can have some involvement with the construction process before it starts. Okay?
Thank you very much. I just put it up in the chat room.
I see it now. All right.
Thank you, Dennis, for joining us today and lending your support and voicing your concerns on behalf of those who we all serve. So truly appreciate that. At this point, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 18.
I'll make a motion to approve petition by Extenet Systems for a grant of location in Washington Street, Poplar Street, and Murray Hill Road as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Rain.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Moving on to public hearing number 19 on a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within the following public ways in Charlestown, Corwell Street, generally from address number 17 to Martha Way at Corwell Street. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Ground of Location Plan, Verizon 17 Corwell Street, proposed conduit installation, one sheet dated March 2022. Good morning.
Good morning, Ross Billadu representing Verizon New England. Okay, share my screen. Okay, can everybody see that?
Almost there, Ross. Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Okay, this petition is for running new conduit from an existing manhole 10/35A located on.
Hey, Ross, you're on the wrong one.
You have the wrong one.
Already number one.
Here we go. Okay, there we go. It's incorrect as well. I apologize, yeah.
No, you had the right one.
That was the right one?
Caldwell at Moffa. Yep, there you go.
Okay, great. Coming from this existing manhole, manhole 10/35A, running some new ducts down the way here to an existing handhole on Caldwell Street. This is for extending some new fiber services down that direction.
Thank you, Ross. Any questions, Tom? Ross, by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PSC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, none.
Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 19.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location in Caldwell Street and Martha Way as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 20 on a petition by Verizon New England Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with city shadow within the following public ways in Dorchester: Devon Street, generally from address number 93 to Normandy Street, southwest of Devon Street. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Ground of Location Plan, Verizon 93 Devon Street, proposed conduit installation, one sheet dated March 2022. Ross?
Again, Ross Billadu representing Verizon New England, running some conduit from the existing pole 8 located on Normandy Street, running up towards Devon Street, and then down to an existing handhold. This conduit run will also contain city shadow and will be used for extending some fiber services.
Thank you, Ross. Any questions for Mr. Bilodeau by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 20.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Verizon New England, Inc. for a grant of location in Devon Street and Normandy Street is read into the record by the chair.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Public hearing number 21 on a petition by Verizon New England, Inc. for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduits with city shadow within Geneva Avenue, Public Way, Dorchester, generally between Charles Street and Josephine Street. This was brought under new business on March 17th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan, Verizon, Geneva Avenue, proposed conduit installation, 3 sheets dated December of 2021.
Okay, again, Ross Billadu representing Verizon New England. This was originally 2 petitions, but you had asked us to combine them as it's going to end up at 2 handholds, which you'll see on the next page here. So we're coming off this existing manhole number 11/79, heading down Geneva Street to the next page. Well, this isn't the correct thing. The plan I showed you last week had a conduit coming to this existing handhole and a conduit coming to another existing handhole on this side, which is what I presented last week. This was not the right plan, I apologize.
Ross, are you?
Yes, that's it. I mean, will contain city shadow like the other previous petitions, so.
Thank you, Ross.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments to Mr. Bilodeau by fellow commission members? Hearing none, any comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
Just a reminder, at the last hearing, it was requested that the project provide an updated Water and Sewer Commission site plan. I'm not sure if that's been submitted, but if you can send that over to my office at some point, that'd be nice.
Sure.
Thank you, Todd. Let me hear a motion regarding public hearing number 21.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Verizon New England, Inc. for a grant of location in Geneva Street contingent upon a final sign-off by BWSC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Bilodeau. That concludes the public hearing segment of our agenda. Moving on to the new business portion of today's agenda. New business item number 1, 33A for Alpha Street, West 4th Street, South Boston, pedestrian easement specific repairs on a set of petitions by 33A Street Development LLC. Good morning, James.
Good morning. James Dowling, again from Howard Stein Hudson, joined again by Maddie Blanchard from Howard Stein Hudson, and also by Michael Indrazano, who's the applicant from 33A Street Development LLC. We're here to present the specific repair plan and the pedestrian easement plan for the project. Project is located at the intersection of West 4th and A Street in South Boston. This slide again represents the existing condition out here. And a few more slides showing the proposed rendering of the building. The proposed building will be 6 stories, mixed-use building with ground floor retail. It will have a 2-story photography studio with 9 residential units. It will also have 34 off-street parking spaces. The improvements within the public way include, next slide, please, Mike. Improvements within the public way include new cement concrete sidewalks, new street trees, new bike racks, and brand new pavers within the furnishing zone. Applicants are also going to relocate an existing traffic control cabinet to meet ADA requirements. The applicants also willing to grant the city pedestrian easement by widening the sidewalks on A Street to 7.5 feet wide and to 8.5 feet on West 4th. Next slide, please, Mary. The pedestrian easement will extend approximately 160 feet along A Street and 126 feet along West 4th for a total pedestrian easement of 216 square feet. With that, we're happy to answer any questions that commission members may have.
Thank you, James. Questions for Mr. Downing by fellow commission members?
Hi, James. Oh, go ahead.
Nope.
Go ahead, Amy.
You got it, Sarah.
Okay. Thank you so much for the presentation. I think on Monday, I had sent back a comment regarding in response to the width of the driveway and whether or not that could be reduced further down to 12 feet, given that there are less than 50 spaces associated with this development. Is there any update on that comment on whether or not that could be adjusted?
Yeah, the issue more with this is it's more of a commercial space, so it will be a lot more two-way traffic versus if it was just a residential. A 16-foot curb cut will be required or does support with turning movements for for vehicles entering and exiting. But happy to talk with you further between now and new business about it. And the public hearing.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Amy, give me a second. Sarah, are you okay with the two reciprocal apex ramps on the bottom side?
Yes, I believe that the proponent is splitting the side of the ramps on the project side. However, it does look like there's existing infrastructure on the apex or on the reciprocal ramp sides that might preclude the splitting of that ramp without relocation of those signals.
Okay, because I know we are very concerned about the state of our ramps, and if you touch one, you basically touch all the four sides. James, you know that drill. I'm wasting your time.
Yeah.
Sorry. Amy?
Please.
Yeah, well, so I guess to add on to the reciprocal ramp thing, you have some ramps that you're leaving and some you label as compliant and some you don't. If they're all compliant and just need a different color tactile, then label them all compliant and needing different tactile. If the ones that you're not labeling as compliant aren't compliant, then they need to be reconfirmed.
Okay, understood.
So like on the other side of West 4th, the one on the right side says existing compliant ramp, and the other one just alludes to it being there in gray. So right, like is that one compliant as well? And same thing when you cross A Street. One says compliant, one says nothing. But my question related to BTD is the move of the traffic signal equipment. Have you spoken to BTD Signals about that?
Not at this time.
Okay, I would do that. We have a lot of old stuff here, so moving it is usually okay for small amounts of distance, but it does depend on the direction, how much play we have in relocating some of this stuff. So I would make sure that we have the ability to make these slides as you propose them here. And then I would say that you're showing a 5-foot clear behind the relocated traffic signal and your, I'm guessing, back of your pedestrian easement, but that seems like it's also adjacent to a very large column that I will find myself behind in that 5 feet. What is the pinch point between that traffic signal and the circular column that you're showing there?
You mean, this is Maddie with Howard Stein Hudson. I believe we provide 4 feet between the pillar and the traffic post, but we'll verify that.
Okay, I think that's going to be a problem, well, probably for both Sarah and I, right? Like the 5 feet behind that gets you behind a column isn't necessarily the clearance we're looking for. But I think we might be able to just move the traffic signal, right? Like to the right. It's being moved, so I think we can maybe just do it to get the 5 feet that we need appropriately.
Understood.
Any further comments for the petitioner?
Like Sarah, we're in favor of a smaller driveway.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay, I mean, I had to add to what both Amy and Sarah said. Maybe the new location of that traffic signal is smack in the middle of the pedestrian pathway. So please give it some thought. Put yourself into the position of someone in a wheelchair or someone who is visually impaired that's got to go through there. They're just going to get a knock on their head. Okay, so please take some consideration on that. Any further comments by fellow commission members? Hearing none. Any comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Excellent. James, we will see you in 2 weeks, or are you okay seeing us in 2 weeks, which will put us to April 14th?
Yes, we should be ready in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Second item, new business item number 2, 909 Massachusetts Avenue, Island Street, Roxbury, pedestrian easement, specific repairs on a set of petitions by Atlantic Oliver Mass LLC. Good morning.
Good morning. Kevin Sanders from EBI Consulting on behalf of Atlantic Oliver Mass LLC. We are preparing a petition for specific alterations for the sidewalks and curb cuts on Mass Ave and on Island Street in Roxbury. And we're also putting in a petition for an easement for a new concrete sidewalk on Island Street. Just to give you guys a little bit of context, this right now is the...
Excuse me, Kevin. Kevin, if I may interrupt you.
Yeah.
I think you may want to share your screen because we are hearing your loudly.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was sharing it.
There you go. Okay. Now your
Can you
voice,
see it now?
now your voice is matched with pictures. Excellent.
Okay, thank you. So again, this is, right now, the site is an existing taxi cab company. We're going to be converting it into a bus terminal for buses that range from anywhere from 25 to 45 foot long, and primarily for college transportation. Right now, they're working on different programs. So again, this is the Mass Ave. Right now, this is the only curb cut that is doing the site right now. It has a gate on it and all traffic goes through that curb cut. We have been working with the Boston Planning and Development to go over a cohesive plan that goes along with the new bike path that's going to be coming through here in the future. So we worked with them for the last several months on getting something that works for all parties considered. So we came up with this idea where the concern from Boston Planning was that this curb cut would have buses and pedestrian cars exiting through it, where there's potential for a lot of bike traffic and pedestrian traffic. So our compromise for that was that we were going to take all of the bus traffic and move it off of Mass Ave and put it onto Island Street. So all the buses would take the back roads on through the development and come in on Island Street and then circulate through Island Street and come off on Island Street. And the curb cut on Mass Ave would be only for pedestrian cars and for emergency egress in case, for say, there's a fire over here and the buses can't get out, so they can get out of the site. But that's where we were at with Boston Planning and Development. So we started working to put this cohesive development together, and we got comments along the way of providing landscaping to make this area a nice focal point on the corner right next to the future bus station or that will be dropping off along this route that goes with the bike path. So we're providing new landscaping. We work with the lighting department. We're going to be putting new lights along this corner, so it will be well lit as part of this project. And again, the program will have varying bus sizes along the program. So if they get a contract, say they get a contract with Boston College, and they need 20-foot, 45-foot buses, then they will do that. And then if the contract changes, then they'll have different sizes. So all these spaces within the site can accommodate multiple size buses. So that's just an overall of the overall plan that we've been working with Boston Planning on. And under your purview, we are working for a specific alterations permit, which includes the new landscaping that we had talked about. Also new conduits and lighting that we worked through with the lighting department, which also provides conduit caps for future use, so that if there's any development on either side of us, that you guys can easily just tie into the conduits. Reworking the ramp system on both sides of Island Street. And then we have the easement plan, which is essentially roughly 200 feet by 4.5 feet, and it's where the new sidewalk, portion of the sidewalk would be on the public, on private property. So we are working through the language with PIC on that right now, currently. So that's what I have for the project. I don't know if you guys have any specific questions. I'm be willing to answer them.
Thank you, Kevin. At this point, are there any questions for Mr. Sanders by fellow commission members?
I still don't understand the need for the driveway on Mass Ave.
The driveway for the Mass Ave is that the owner did not want to lose their presence on Mass Ave, and they do not want to constantly have the passenger car traffic for because they do have not just buses, they do have passenger cars like taxi cab size. They also have transit buses, like van size, and they do not want to have all that traffic coming in and out of Island along with the buses. So they wanted to have some flexibility, and that's where we went through the whole process would be the Boston Planning to allow just pedestrian cars to be exiting off of Mass Ave.
So I just heard two things there. One was it's just pedestrian vehicles, and then the other one was that it's all these other vans, et cetera, and that's the problem, right? You have a one-way circulation around here that has two doors on it. It seems to me that most buses would even struggle, right, like to get out this in an emergency situation because they're not meant to be facing this direction to come out here. When you had the internal plan up, I only counted 9 passenger vehicles. So the fact that they need their own exit onto Mass Ave does not seem accurate, right? Like,
there's about 15.
Okay, 15.
15, yeah.
15, right? Like this is a two-way bike facility that we're not looking to introduce a vehicular conflict with. That is like this close to an intersection where you already have 2 other garages. So I think that we're creating a safety issue here for pedestrian and bikes that seems completely unnecessary.
Well, like I said, we went through with Boston Planning several meetings.
No, I get it. BPDA, right? Like they're not here. This is now a question about city sidewalks and streets, and the comment is from a transportation perspective. I don't see the need for the driveway, and I do see the cause for it creating safety concerns. As what you've labeled here as what's supposed to happen here, we have no way of controlling. And if that's not what happens, then we have an even bigger safety concern. And so I'm just not understanding. I get why it's a convenience factor for those 15 people in passenger vehicles, but I don't understand why those 15 people would cause this safety concern for us on Mass Ave, where we're going through a huge exercise to get a separated two-way bike facility.
So to answer some of your comments, so the Mass Ave exit is controlled by a gate. So it's not going to be like a free flow of traffic going through there. There's a gate that people have to be let out. So it's going to be, one vehicle at a time. It's not going to be somebody coming through the site and just going out into the sidewalk and out into the street. It's a very controlled thing. All of these exits are going to be gated with electronic gates, and it's going to be a controlled ingress and egress.
Yeah, no, I get, my point is not, right, like how many people, it's that when a car comes out of there, the only way for them to get onto Mass Ave is to straddle the sidewalk and the two-way bike facility, to wait for a gap in traffic. That is undesirable and seemingly completely unnecessary for your third minor emergency driveway or for passenger vehicles in a bus depot. So my point is just that, like, this is a bigger safety concern than the purpose it fulfills in my mind. And so I haven't heard anything that makes this necessary.
Well, we can discuss that further. My client is very adamant about keeping that, and they were very adamant through the whole planning process with BPTA, you know, and that's why it's still in. We work with the language with BPTA about having it just be passenger cars and emergency cars.
Yeah, but the BPDA doesn't approve what you're doing in a city street. They're here to talk about your building and what you're doing on your site, and you're here now to discuss what you're doing within the city street. So I understand that this went through a BPDA process, but this is not the BPDA's decision to be made. I understand I understand that your client really wants this here, but wanting it and needing it are different things, and I am trying to balance whether or not this is required based on the level of safety concerns you're causing to pedestrians and bikes on Mass Ave, and I haven't gotten there.
Okay, I think then I should set up a meeting with you and my client to discuss the particulars to this and seeing what they are okay with and what you're okay with, and see if we can come to a consensus.
Amy, just to amplify points of clarification, the planning agency gives you guidance as to the use of the private property. The interactive points between the private property and the public space is dominated by the transportation department, is calling concerns. Amy, this bike path is Stephanie's bike path, right?
This is our new Mass Ave design, where we've gone through a whole thing to get a safe bi-directional bike facility out here. So having people exiting in vans and or passenger vehicles waiting across both the sidewalk and this facility is not good for us.
Yes. So Kevin, it is absolutely vital that Ms. Cording is able to support this, because her reasons and concerns, as multitude as they are, dominated by the safety and the welfare of those who traverse within the public right-of-way. So the Commission will seek the guidance of Ms. Cording if and when this comes for a public vote. Okay? So recognize the concerns your client may have, but the client needs to be made aware of the individual roles that are there between our land use planning agency, which is the BBDA, and then the public right-of-way agencies that manage situations, which is the Public Improvement Commission. Okay, so question is, I'm not sure the availability of each other's times. Will 2 weeks be enough to sort this thing out, assuming that there are no further questions?
I think a meeting between Amy and my client, I think we could come to something before the next 2 weeks. And that would be totally up to Amy if she can fit us in.
Yep. Kevin, why don't you figure out a handful of days and times next week when you and your client can meet. Send those to me, and I'll coordinate Amy's and my schedule to sit down.
Okay, wonderful.
Awesome, thank you. So any further comments or questions for Mr. Sanders by PSC staff and or members of today's audience? Hearing none, Kevin, will mark you up for 2 weeks from now, which should put you to April 14th.
Thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. See you in 2 weeks. Public hearing, new business item number 3, Northern Avenue, South Boston, grant of location on a petition by Cambridge Network Solutions LLC. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Herb Bertoni, representing Cambridge Network Solutions.
I am going to share my screen with you first. Can you see that?
Yes, we can help.
Okay, excellent. Okay. We are proposing to place approximately 647 feet of 2 4-inch communication conduits from Northern Ave at Fan Pier up to Northern Ave at Marina Park Drive. One of those 4-inch conduits will be 1 4-inch quad for the city. There are no participants on this dig, and that is what we are doing. So we're going from here, this point right here, which is private conduit coming into this manhole, running down Northern Ave, south to this manhole right here at Pier 4 in Northern Ave.
Thought this area is completely or embedded within BPDA's EDIC areas?
No, this is a city street. This is actually partially where Eversource is constructing their 115 kV line.
So everyone has on the take out of this street. Herb split part is not going to make it look any worse than it is right now.
Right, and I believe WS has committed to resurfacing this entire stretch.
Awesome. So Herb, get in there, chop it up. I'm sorry that I didn't say that thing in a nice way. As you can imagine, our roads are looking more interesting on a daily basis with all the utility cuts. Okay, any questions for the petitioner by fellow commission members?
It does look like the Disabilities Commission has a record of at least 2 accessible parking spaces along this stretch. So just please coordinate with the Disabilities Commission for the relocation of those spaces if needed.
Will do, definitely.
Any further comments? Any comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
Yes, Tom, ready, go ahead.
Thanks, Todd. Just a comment, I guess, with this particular stretch of roadway. If it is going to be resurfaced curb to curb, it would be fantastic if we could get the existing bike lanes inbound parking, similar to the design that exists on Seaport Boulevard. Right now, it sits on the travel lane side of the parking. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I'm not sure how to code that thing. Todd, see if the lane marking.
Tom, can you send me an email about that? I know we're already into A Street with you and looking into the parking protection. So just send me an email and I'll take a look.
I will do, Amy. I just wasn't sure who was going to be responsible for the resurfacing, whether it was this proponent or WS with the work they've got going on, but I'll take a few photos and send them over. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Amy. Any further comments by members of today's audience? Hearing none, I will mark you up for 2 weeks, April 14th. Is that okay?
Okay, great.
Awesome. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye.
Fourth item on the new business settlement, 74 School Street, Dixwell Street, West Roxbury, grant of location on a petition by Verizon New England Inc. Good morning, Ross.
Good morning. Once again, Ross Bilodeau, representing Verizon New England. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes, Ross, you're good.
Okay. Extending some conduit for the purpose of extending some fiber services from an existing manhole in front of Erie Place, manhole 14 over 61. Down School Street onto Dixwell Street to an existing handhole in front of 27 Dixwell Street. Again, this petition will also include City Shadow.
Thank you, Ross. Question from Mr. Bilodeau by fellow commission members.
Again, the Disabilities Commission just has a record at least 1 accessible parking space along this stretch. So just coordination with my office to have that relocated if necessary.
Okay, sure.
Thank you, Sarah. Any further comments from Mr. Bilodeau? Hearing none, any comments by PIC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, none.
Wonderful. Ross, we will mark you up for 2 weeks, April 14th. Good?
Yes.
Excellent. Next item, Ross, I think you have the rest of the agenda with you. Item number 5, Boylston Street, Brookline Avenue, Charles Street and Beacon Street, 755 Washington Street, 105 Beacon Street, 162 through 176 Boylston Street, Charles Street, Boston proper ground up location on a set of petitions by Verizon, New England Inc.
Okay, again, Ross Bilodeau, representing Verizon New England. We actually have a handful of petitions that are a part of this agenda. The first one being here, for, running approximately 315 feet of new conduit from an existing manhole 1074 in front of 401 Park Drive on Brookline Avenue to proposed precast manhole 5015B at the intersection of Brookline Ave and Boylston Street. Plan here. So you can see here the new proposed manhole rather. The proposed conduit heading back to the existing manhole 1074, and then it continues from that proposed manhole another 822 feet. That's my next plan. Down Boylston Street, again, 822 feet, 4 4-inch Schedule 40 with city shadow included.
Hey Ross, and Todd, that segment of Boylston Street, that is within the Fenway near the ballpark, right? What I don't remember is whether that segment of Boylston Street has been recently paved. I've lost track of how that roadway looks.
I'm not sure, but I can find out about that.
Please find out. You know we don't like you chopping up our brand new roadways.
Absolutely.
And Ross, second thing, you know, the telephone company, or I should say it like that, Verizon New England Inc., you know, you all have conduits and assets all over the place since almost dawn of time. What is the need for this additional infrastructure? Is it system expansion, missing links? What's the deal here?
Just extending fiber services where we can't reach them currently.
Okay, all right, sorry, continue please.
All right, no problem. So again, that 822 foot run will be terminating at a manhole 5015A, which is also in Boylston Street. Just about in front of 348 Boylston.
All right. Yeah, just please check on the condition of Boylston Street. My memory just doesn't serve me as it used to.
Sure.
So we have a collective duty to ensure that new streets are not getting caught up. Any questions from Mr. Bilodeau at this point for this petition by fellow commission members? Hearing none, comments by PSC staff and all members of today's audience?
No, I think we can move to the Charles Street and Beacon Street plan.
Oh Lord, did I miss something? Sorry, Todd.
Oh, yeah, there, we got a few more.
Within that same item number 5, good Lord.
Yep.
Ross, you're on.
Okay, next plan here. Running approximately 468 feet of new conduit from an existing manhole 64 located on Charles Street at the intersection of Beacon Street to an existing handhole located on Charles Street on the side of the Boston Public Garden. Again, this will also include city shadow, and it's for the purpose of extending fiber services. So you can see us extending conduit from the existing manhole down to my next plane here. And cutting across to an existing handhole. This is only for one 2-inch PVC conduit, so not as heavy as a run. Should I continue to the next ones, or should we ask for questions now?
No, Ross, please continue, and hopefully if someone has a question, they will interrupt you.
Absolutely, sure. Okay, my next plan is for Washington Street. To place 269 feet of new conduit from an existing manhole number 835, which is located in front of Tufts Children's Hospital, 755 Washington Street, to an existing handhole located on the left of a driveway for Tufts Medical Center. Again, this will include city shadow and is for the purpose of extending fiber services. So here we are coming from our manhole across down the street to an existing handhole.
Ross, is this for a DAS node or is this to service the Tufts building?
It is my understanding that this could be for a DAS node.
Thank you.
Okay, my next plan is for Beacon Street. Okay, coming from an existing, running 282 feet of new conduit from an existing manhole 471 located at 116 Beacon Street to an existing handhole located in front of 105 Beacon Street. Yes, this one's for another 1 2-inch conduit with city shadow.
Again, I think the Disabilities Commission has a record of at least one space, one accessible on-street parking space in this area. So just coordination, especially in this residential neighborhood.
Sure. Okay, and that brings me to my last plan for this petition. Which is running approximately 588 feet of new conduit from an existing manhole 1345 located on Boylston Street to an existing handhole located on Charles Street on the side of Boston Public Garden. We'll also need to run an existing 7 feet of new conduit from an existing manhole 1345. I'm sorry, that must be a typo here. This is where I'm coming from, our existing manhole 1345, Boylston, up to Charles Street. Now my next plan, coming to an existing handhole. Again, this is just for 1 2-inch PVC with city shadow. Disregard what I said about the additional 7 feet.
Thank you, Ross. Does that conclude the items on new business number 5?
Yes.
I have sorry to jump in. These two Charles Street runs, they look like they both service DAS nodes. I'm assuming that those DAS nodes end up being relatively close together. Do you know if Do It and Street Lighting has approved the proximity of these two nodes? I know we have some offset that they're required to be.
Okay, sure. I'm sure they have reached out to them, but and it's been approved, but I couldn't tell you for sure right now. I can certainly check on that.
All right, yeah, if you can just give me that confirmation before.
Go.
Todd, for the benefit of our fellow commission members, a procedural question from me to you. Looking at agenda items, new business items number 5 through number 9, starting off with number 5. When it comes to public hearings, how many individual public hearings will this new business number 5 translate to?
So I'm going to see if I can break them or leave them broken up as they are here. So number 5 will be a single item, number 6 will be a single item on the public hearing agenda, and so on.
And number 7 also?
Yes, number 7 will be one single item, as will number 8, as will number 9.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Otherwise, we may have to schedule a separate offs.
Yeah.
You know, right now we hold public hearings every 2 weeks. We may have to do something in between just to handle this workload.
Yeah, the grouping them like this can sometimes cause a little bit of heartache for us internally from a bookkeeping perspective, but in the interest of not wasting everybody's time, we're grouping them as best we can by neighborhood.
Got it. So business item, new business item number 5 will translate to one public hearing in 2 weeks. If that is
That's our intention, yes.
Excellent. Let's wrap things up. Any further comments from Mr. Bilodeau regarding new business item number 5? Hearing none from fellow commission members and or PIC staff and or members of today's audience, we will mark you up for April 14th for new business item number 5. All right, Ross?
Yes, that's fine. I'll be there.
Excellent. New business item number 6, 33 through 74 Egremont Road, Mount Hood Road, Brighton, grant of location on a petition by Verizon New England, Inc.
Okay, again, Ross Bilodeau representing Verizon New England. New business item number 6 is asking for 301 feet of new conduit from an existing manhole 506A at the intersection of Mount Hood Road and Egremont Road, heading south to the rear of 6 Egremont Road for the purpose of providing some fiber services. So you can see me coming out of that manhole, existing number 38 over 506A to my next sheet down on Egremont Street. To this point here. Again, we're looking for 2 4-inch PVCs, and we'll also be providing 1 city shadow.
Thank you, Ross. Any questions for Mr. Bilodeau?
Yes, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, we do have a record of one accessible parking spot. So again, just coordination with our office if relocation is required.
Sure, of course.
Thank you, Sarah. Any further questions by fellow commission members? Hearing none. Any comments or concerns by PIC staff and or members of today's audience?
No, none.
Thank you. Ross, we will mark you for 2 weeks for new business item number 6. That will be for April 14th. New business item number 7, 74 Edwin Street, Dorchester Avenue, 15 through 65 Bay Street, Maryland Street, Savin Hill Avenue, 11 Hamilton Street, Columbia Road, 200 Fox Street, Bowden Street, Moreland Street, Brook Avenue, 21 Pond Street, 131 Devon Street, Laredo Street, 20 Monsignor Patrick J. Lighton Way, Dorchester Avenue, 275 Magnolia Street, Intervale Street, 60 Washington Street, all in Dorchester, grant of location on a set of petitions by Verizon New England, Inc. Ross, you're tearing up our streets. Sorry.
Yes. There's another handful of items associated with this new business item number 7. So the first one being placing 459 feet new conduit on Francis Street.
Hold on, wrong plan. We're in Dorchester, Edwin Street first.
Sorry about that.
You may have an outdated version of our agenda.
Okay. Sorry, Tom, what was the street again?
Edwin, 74 Edwin.
Here we go, this should be the right plan. This is for a proposed 1193 feet of 1 scheduled 40 PVC 4-inch from an existing manhole 13 over 62 on Dorchester Ave, which is heading up Edwin Street. To my next couple plans here. No pull points in between. to an existing handhold, which is also located by Edwin Street and Florida Street. This will also include city shadow. Okay, is my next item Francis Street, Todd?
No, Bay Street. Yeah, we're not in Roxbury yet. We'll do all of our Dorchester first. Bay, Maryland, and 7 Hill Ave.
Okay, our next petition is for down Maryland Street, from the existing manhole 11 over 236, heading down Maryland Street, running one 2-inch Schedule 40 PVC and one city shadow to my next plan here. To an existing handhole on Bay Street. No pull points in between.
Okay. 11 Hamilton at Columbia Road is next.
Okay. Sorry, I was provided some information that's out of order here. Okay, Hamilton Street, Columbia Road, coming from an existing handhole 11 over 366 Columbia Road. Proposing one 2-inch Schedule 40 PVC and one city shadow. To my next plan here. No pull points in between. To an existing handhole in front of number 11 Hamilton Street. Okay, what was that? I'm sorry, Todd, what was the next one here?
Sorry, 200 Hancock at Bowdoin.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't have any information for that. I must not have the right information for this item number. I apologize.
If you're not prepared to speak to that one, you'd have to just withdraw that one petition and we can move on to the next one.
That's fine. We'll move on to number 8.
Next is, forgive me, Moreland at Brook.
This is still part of number 7.
Yes. Still in Dorchester. Looks like that's all your Roxbury plans that you're
Right.
flipping through.
Yeah, and that's for number 8.
Yeah, that's Roxbury's number 8.
Okay, I see what he did here. I apologize.
I hate to labor the point, but this is a little bit quite unorthodox. Okay?
Yeah, we've definitely never received this many petitions from the
So
city.
may I suggest if it is to the liking of fellow, Todd, is it best that we hold a separate out of cycle public hearing just to manage this workload? Because this is.
That's very tricky, Para, right? Like, we have a lot that has to happen with open meeting and everything and scheduling.
No.
Like, I get it. It's just that it's not something that we're gonna do in a short time to address these ones.
Yeah, I think, Para, if it's all right, we just proceed with what we have on the agenda today, and then we can have a brainstorming meeting to figure out if Verizon or others, for that matter, are gonna give us a whole batch of petitions like this. Maybe we consider something different in the future.
And when I say something different, Amy and Todd, in years past, PIC held hearings every week. Now we are on a 2-week cycle. We may just have to get to another third, rather than every 2 weeks, just insert another public hearing exclusively for the telecommunication stuff.
Yeah, well, yes.
This is quite unorthodox.
Ross, if you need me to pull up the plans, I can do that to speed things along.
Yes, that would be helpful. I have some information that's completely out of order and not correct here. I apologize, and I appreciate your help, Todd.
Yep, give me 1 second.
Sure, thank you.
So Ross, since you all are having a fair amount of activity through the commission, it would be in your best interest to coordinate matters with PSC staff so that you all are as prepared as you need to be.
Absolutely.
Here you go. Moreland Brook.
Ross, as quick as Mr. Liming putting this stuff on the shared screen, you need to speak to it because you are the petitioner.
Sure. Just coming from existing manhole here, again to another handhole. City shadow included. Okay, Todd, we can go to the next frame.
Oops, sorry. Bond Street.
Again, coming from an existing manhole to an existing handhole.
What street are we on, Ross? The record is going to be very unclear in the way we are sharing this information.
I understand. We're coming off from an existing manhole on Columbia Road to an existing handhole on Pond Street.
Thank you, Ross.
Okay. this is for Devon Street, coming off an existing manhole at the corner of Laredo and Devon Street, up to an existing handhole also on Devon Street.
Light and way.
Okay, coming off an existing manhole on Dorchester Ave to an existing handhole on the Senior Patrick Lyden Way.
This is Magnolia.
Is this interval or Magnolia?
This is, sorry, it starts at Magnolia at this end, looks like, and then it runs primarily along Intervale.
Yes, to an existing handhole on Intervale Street.
And finally for Dorchester, this should be 60 Washington.
Okay. Again, coming from an existing manhole on Washington Street, running northwest to an existing handhole also on Washington Street. Also includes City Shadow.
Thank you, Ross. Any blanket questions or concerns or comments to Mr. Villador regarding the items that were introduced under new business item number 7?
Yes, again, the Disabilities Commission has a record of accessible parking spaces for the majority of these petitions, most notably on the Devon Street petition where we do have 3. So just coordination with our office before and during and after construction for the relocation.
Of course.
Thank you, Sarah. Any further comments by PIC staff or members of today's audience?
Nope, none.
Hearing none, we will mark you up for 2 weeks on April 14. Ross, will you please endeavor to synchronize the presentations on April 14 so that it is as expeditious as possible for those who are participating in the hearing process. Will that be okay with you, Ross?
Yes, I will be there, and I will absolutely have my guns in order there. Thank you.
That would be much appreciated. New business item number 8, 195 Pilgrim Road, Francis Street, Brookline Avenue, 724 Sharman Avenue, Mount Pleasant Avenue, 49 Horton Way, 146 Eustace Street, Dearborn Street, 150 Hammond Street, Sharman Avenue, Coventry Street, Fremont Street, 73 through 109, Fenwood Road, 41 through 55, Demont Street, Washington Street, Roxbury grant of location on a set of petitions by Verizon New England Inc. Ross?
Ross, do you have these plans to share, or do you want me to continue sharing?
No, I can share these, Todd. I should have them for this one at least.
All yours.
Thank you. Okay, can everybody see that now?
Yes.
Okay. This petition is for Francis Street, coming from an existing manhole, 678, located on Brookline Ave. Running 2-inch Schedule 40 PVC up Francis Street to an existing handhole located at the intersection of Francis Street and Pilgrim Road. This will also include City Shadow. My next item here is for Dearborn and Eustace. Coming from an existing manhole, number 15 over 305, running approximately 489 feet to an existing handhole on Eustace Street, approximately in front of number 152. This is for 1 2-inch Schedule 40 PVC, as well as a city shadow. The next item is for Hammond Street and Shawmut Ave. Coming from an existing manhole 15/762, running approximately 345 feet of new 2-inch conduit to an existing handhole located on Hammond Street. My next item is for Shawmut Ave as well, at Ruggles Street. Running from an existing manhole, number 15/903, which is located at Ruggles Street and Shawmut Ave, to an existing handhole located in front of number 724 Shawmut Ave, running another 2-inch PVC with city shadow. My next item is for Horandon Way and Cornelia Court, running from existing manhole number 15/360 to an existing handhole in front of 45 Horandon Way. This is for 1 2-inch PVC, Schedule 40 with another existing, another city shadow. My next item is for Coventry Street, coming from an existing manhole located at the corner of Coventry Street and Tremont Street to a property line on Coventry Street, approximately 334 feet of new conduit, again with city shadow. The next item is for Fenwood Road at Binney Street, running 377 feet of new conduit from an existing manhole 150Z to an existing handhole, 2-inch PVC with city shadow. My next item is for Blue Hill Avenue, Dudley Street, and Mount Pleasant Avenue, running 502 feet of conduit from an existing manhole 642 to an existing handhole located across the street from 120 Mount Pleasant Avenue. For a 2-inch Schedule 40 PVC with city shadow. And my last item for this new business 8 is on Dimmock Street, running from an existing manhole number 672, approximately 485 feet of new 2-inch conduit to an existing handhole in front of 41 Dimmock Street with city shadow. Again, all the items on this new business 8 are for the purpose of extending the fiber services.
Thank you, Ross. Questions for Mr. Bilodeau by fellow commission members regarding the items on number 8?
Yes, again, for several of these petitions, the Disabilities Commission does have a record of accessible parking spaces in the area. I think calling attention as well to petitions located in the Longwood medical area. My staff has requested a meeting just to touch base with the Verizon team in regards to just coordinating closely with us before the public hearing. I'm happy to send over my contact information from my accessible parking team, but it being in a sensitive area, we just like to keep a closer eye on these spaces.
Sure.
Thank you, Sarah. Any further comments from Mr. Bilodeau by fellow commission members and or PIC staff and or members of today's audience? Hearing none, we will mark you for 2 weeks.
Yes.
For April 14, last item on today's new business agenda, item number 9, 37 Monsignor Dennis F. Callahan Way, 627 East 5th Street, K Street, 675 East 7th Street, M Street, South Boston, granted location on a set of petitions by Verizon New England Inc.
Todd, I do not have the correct plans for this one. If you could share them, I could explain these items.
Bear with me 1 second.
Thank you.
Monsignor O'Callahan.
Okay, that's my first item. Running approximately 504 feet of new conduit from an existing manhole, 641D, located at the intersection of Monsignor O'Callahan Way and Gavin Way, to an existing handhole located at 3 Monsignor O'Callahan Way. This is for another 2-inch PVC with city shadow to extend fiber services.
So this is East 5th. And K Street.
Okay. Running approximately 592 feet of new conduit from an existing manhole, 33/37, located at the intersection of East 5th Street and L Street, to an existing handhole at 283 K Street. This is another 2-inch PVC, Schedule 40 with city shadow for the purpose of extending fiber services.
Todd, give me a second. Ross, it seems like there's a pattern of you are connecting your manholes to handholes. Am I missing something or am I not seeing something? I think each of your petition was connecting a manhole to a handhole. Help me to understand why the symmetry of it. Quickly, I mean, 10 words or less, not the...
They're for DAS nodes. There are a handful that are private connections, but most of these are to service DAS nodes.
Got it.
Yeah, I guess to Para's question though, right? These are existing DAS nodes that you're now connecting to?
Yes, that's correct.
So that DAS node is there. There's fiber that goes there because it's a connected DAS node. So why is this duplicative fiber necessary?
Well, it's not necessarily Verizon fiber that might be running to that existing node or handhole.
So there's a conduit that a different company has run and you guys can share the handhole, but you cannot share the fiber to get there?
Well, I'm not sure if, to be honest with you, I'm not sure if someone else has placed this handhole and they're gonna lease the fiber we're running over to it. I don't know if there's a connection to these handholds the way they...
This is up, right? Like I can look at this DAS node at the corner of K and East 5th on Google Street View right now, right? I see a associated handhole with it. And so my question is that this is an active node that is connected with fiber and power today. It seems like Verizon's coming to this, but was a node by somebody else, right, beforehand, is my question, right? That this is somebody else's node that you're now joining or participating in. This is a shared node. You call this a shared handhole. Is that shared amongst you or just shared amongst fiber and power?
It would be shared amongst fiber and power and Verizon. I'm not sure if, I'm not doubting that they already exist. I wasn't able to review any of these sites prior.
Right, so I guess either we've let you put up a node that you never got approved to connect, or this node is connected and you can share the node, but you cannot share the run. And either way, there's a question in there. So I think that now is not, right, like we want to end this hearing, but like, I think that when you come back, to Para's point, there's a lot of stuff that's a little unorthodox in here that we should all get very clear on so that the next hearing isn't 3 days long.
Sure.
Thank you, Amy.
Can somebody from Verizon be at the next hearing to speak to this? I know you understand this stuff pretty well, Ross, but I think their expertise might help all of this as well.
Sure, I can ask for that.
And having some of that conversation and understanding happen prior to the hearing is probably going to be in everybody's best interest, because I think that we want to understand why this is happening. This is not how stuff typically comes. And so we understand putting up new DAS nodes, but I see DAS nodes here and I see you going from handholds to manholes, like Par explained. And so the intention here is unclear. And if we know that there's somebody already in there connected, then we also know that there's a fiber pathway that got them there. So I think that that is the question.
Understood.
Thank you, Amy. Ross, because this is my 2 cents worth, which may not be worth half a penny in the way I'm going to say. I think the city shadow conduits which you are putting may be a questionable investment on your part versus the roads getting chopped up everywhere and it's just going to end up looking with another cut. Okay? So I as Ms. Cording has suggested, please try and explain to us what's going on, because this is just quite interesting and unorthodox, and I'm running out of words to say my frustrations in a polite way. Okay?
Understood.
So Todd, is that it for this one? Item number 9?
No, there's one more, East 7th Street. Last one, I promise. East 7th and out.
Yep, okay, running 344 feet of new conduit from the intersection of East 7th Street to a new handhole, to an existing handhole rather, on, sorry, I have that backwards. Running conduit along M Street down to the intersection of East 7th Street to an existing handhole. Again, with city shadow, for the purpose of extending fiber service.
Thank you, Ross. Any questions for Mr. Bilodeau by fellow commission members?
Just one last time, we do have a record of accessible parking spaces on all of the petitions. So just, again, coordination with my office. You can contact us at ada@boston.gov.
Okay. Yes, I got that in the link here. Thank you.
Any comments by PSC staff and or members of today's audience?
No.
No. Hey, Todd, just looking at the screen which you are sharing, it is almost comical for us to not find a city shadow to support process needs. All we tend to do is just chopping up the streets. I mean, okay, and we need to, I mean, the punchline is the restoration costs that are associated with, and Todd, if you could help me to take on that task to revisit the city's policies towards our restoration conversation, okay? Because at this rate, it's going to become quite interesting as time goes on. Anyhow, that's enough edification on my part. That concludes the business of today's agenda. I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Sorry for the long day.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.